In this video, we're going to dive into the fascinating story of Jeanne de Clisson, a 14th-century noblewoman who became a pirate and a symbol of resistance against the powerful. In the 14th century, Jeanne de Clisson was a wealthy Breton noblewoman who became known as the Lioness of Brittany. Her story is one of tragedy, revenge, and courage, as she defied the norms of her time and became a notorious pirate. The political situation of the nobility in France was tumultuous. The 100 Years' War between France and England had begun in 1337, and many of the French nobles were divided in their loyalties. Some supported the French king, while others allied themselves with the English. This led to a complex web of alliances, betrayals, and shifting loyalties among the nobility. The French king, Philip VI, had also recently established a centralized government, which weakened the power of the regional nobles, including those in Brittany. This led to tensions between the central government and the regional nobles, who resented the loss of their traditional authority. In this context, Jeanne's husband Olivier's execution for treason was not uncommon, as it was one of many political maneuvers used by the king to maintain his authority. Jeanne was born in 1300 into a noble family in Brittany, a region in western France. As a young woman, she married Olivier III de Clisson, a wealthy Breton nobleman, in 1326. Together, they had 5 children and lived a comfortable life. However, tragedy struck in 1343 when Olivier was executed by the French king for treason. The reason for his execution was due to his support of the English king, Edward III, in his war against France. Olivier had switched sides after the French king, Philip VI, had failed to adequately support him in a conflict with another powerful Breton noble, Charles de Blois. Charles de Blois and Olivier de Clisson were once friends, but their relationship deteriorated when Charles was appointed the Duke of Brittany by the French king, while Olivier was overlooked for the position. The two men became bitter enemies and engaged in a series of conflicts over the years. In one notable incident, Olivier was ambushed by Charles's men and severely wounded. He was left for dead on the battlefield but was rescued by his wife, Jeanne. This incident only deepened Olivier's resentment towards Charles and his desire to seek revenge against him. Olivier saw an opportunity to get back at Charles de Blois when the 100 Years' War broke out between France and England. He allied himself with the English king, Edward III, and fought against the French alongside the English. This act of betrayal was considered treasonous by the French king, Philip VI, who ordered Olivier's execution. Jeanne was devastated by Olivier's death and sought revenge against the French king and those who had betrayed her husband. Determined to seek revenge against those who had wronged her family, Jeanne sold all of her property and used the proceeds to buy 3 warships. She then had the ships painted black with red sails, which became her signature look. Jeanne's ships were heavily armed with cannons and equipped with experienced sailors, making them a formidable force on the sea. Jeanne was a skilled captain and strategist, carefully selecting her targets and using surprise attacks to capture ships. She would spare the lives of most of the crew, but would have the captain and a few select crew members executed by beheading, using an axe as her preferred method. Her reputation for ruthlessness spread quickly, and soon her name struck fear in the hearts of sailors throughout the English Channel. To fund her pirate fleet, Jeanne targeted French ships and those loyal to the French king, as well as any vessels that crossed her path. She also formed alliances with the English, who were happy to have a pirate captain attacking French ships on their behalf. Jeanne's fleet continued to grow, and she even took on a lover, a Breton nobleman who shared her hatred for the French. Together, they raided the seas and wreaked havoc on the French navy. One of Jeanne's most successful pirate missions was against a French convoy carrying treasures from Flanders to France. The convoy was heavily guarded by 6 warships, but Jeanne and her lover devised a clever plan to take them by surprise. They disguised their 3 black ships as part of the convoy, using the same flags and symbols as the French ships. As the convoy sailed on, Jeanne and her crew waited patiently for the right moment to strike. When the sun began to set, Jeanne gave the signal to attack. The French were caught off guard and quickly overpowered. Jeanne and her crew captured all 6 warships and the treasures they were carrying. Jeanne showed mercy to most of the crew, but had the captain and a few select crew members executed by beheading. She then gave the treasures to her crew and the English allies who had helped with the attack. The success of this raid brought Jeanne a great deal of wealth and fame, as well as further cementing her reputation as one of the most feared pirates of the English Channel. Jeanne's reputation as a fearsome pirate grew, and she became known as the Lioness of Brittany. She spared the lives of those who pledged loyalty to England and the deposed French king, but she showed no mercy to French ships or their crew members. She was relentless in her pursuit of revenge and was willing to do whatever it took to bring justice for her husband's death. After many years at sea, Jeanne de Clisson decided to retire from piracy. She sold her remaining ships to the English and settled in a castle in Brittany, where she lived out the rest of her days. She died peacefully in her sleep at the age of 61. Jeanne de Clisson's story is one of courage, strength, and perseverance. Furthermore, Jeanne de Clisson was part of a larger global phenomenon of piracy that was taking place during her lifetime. Piracy was rampant in many parts of the world, with pirates operating in the Caribbean, Mediterranean, and Indian Ocean among other regions. However, the nature of piracy was changing, as it shifted from state-sanctioned privateering to independent piracy. Pirates were no longer simply hired by governments to attack enemy ships, but instead were acting on their own, attacking any ship they deemed profitable. In this context, Jeanne de Clisson's story is particularly notable. She was one of the few female pirates to lead her own fleet, and she did so with incredible success. Her story is a reminder of the complex and fascinating history of piracy, and of the many women who played a crucial role in it. Piracy was a global phenomenon that affected trade and commerce across the oceans. In the Mediterranean, Barbary pirates from North Africa would attack and capture ships, taking the crew as slaves. In the Caribbean, pirates such as Blackbeard and Calico Jack preyed on Spanish treasure ships and English merchant vessels. In the Indian Ocean, pirates such as the famous Chinese pirate Queen Qing Shi terrorized the coasts of China and Southeast Asia. Pirates became more organized and formed loose associations, with some even establishing their own pirate republics in places like Madagascar and the Bahamas. In this context, Jeanne de Clisson's story is all the more remarkable. She was a woman who not only survived the tumultuous world of piracy, but thrived in it. Her success as a pirate queen is a testament to her courage, cunning, and resilience. Her story is a reminder of the many women who played a role in shaping the history of piracy, and of the larger global context in which piracy operated.